Now, many of you know that I did go to Guantanamo Bay to entertain the troops.
I saw you flash in your eyes when I was telling that joke. He's like, yeah, I'm in the Navy.
But folks, I came away with so much more than I'd ever expected. Now, I know that many of you have an idea in your head as to what Guantanamo Bay is really like.
For years, we have known much of what America's government did in the name of American values. Beatings, sleep deprivation, stress positions, waterboarding.
The CIA put a handgun and a running power drill next to the head of Abd al-Rahim al-Nashiri.
Guantanamo Bay, Bob, has become the anti-Statue of Liberty.
But what if I were to tell you that Gitmo is more like this?
Can you tell us how you were treated at Guantanamo Bay? So is that like Cable Beach rules, or is it like Cable Beach rules? The second we landed, there was like 9 crabs, 2 jellyfish, and a stingray, and we said that's just way too much. I have not hit a baseball ever. Rockin' in Fidel's backyard. I mean, that's classic stuff right there.
What if I were to tell you that Guantanamo Bay is the most efficiently run community you'll find on any seaboard, and above all, home to an exemplary prison for terrorist detainees? Now, of course, our troops can't tell you that because they have to be hush-hush about everything. And despite how mainstream media has demonized them, they're really just normal kids doing their job.
We were here at an ice cream parlor in Guantanamo Bay with Brandon and Travis.
I'm Shelley Waterman. I'm here with my husband, who is a Marine with MCSIFCO, Marine Corps Security Forces.
All of that applies to me, except my name is Jackie Saloy.
I'm an MA, and you know what I'm saying, I just walk around, make sure the street's safe for Gitmo.
I'm with Marine Corps Security Forces.
I work at the hospital. I'm a surgical tech.
Second Lieutenant. Army.
Captain, Air Force.
Air Force, Captain Claude Howard, Little Rock, Arkansas, with the beef.
I'm the OIC for the Interpretive Operations Element here at JTF Gitmo.
I work over at ICE, which is the Interrogation Control Element.
I'm stationed at Joint Task Force Military Justice. I'm a paralegal in the Navy. Take care of military justice for the Navy and Army and the Joint Forces here. So.
Okay, so in more detail for the viewers at home, what exactly does that mean, working as a paralegal here for the Navy?
As a paralegal, we keep the discipline up, good conduct of the armed forces, to keep our service members in line, making sure they're on their goals of, taking care of business, whatever armed force they're in.
Wait, you mean to tell me that there are people on hire just to make sure that prisoners are treated fairly? But the media has told us that Gitmo is a legal no man's land.
Because when you get in, you can never get out. Like, you're held forever in a time warp without even the possibility of a trial.
But when you take into consideration that Gitmo once held more than 779 detainees and there are now only around 221 left, it would seem that more people are let free than actually detained. Which is of course a shame, as many of them actually return to killing fellow Americans. Americans, liberals. Remember them? The victims in all of this? It's important to remember that these detainees are terrorists, not prisoners. Terrorists just like one of the 9/11 masterminds, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who, thanks to Obama, is now enjoying an all-expenses-paid trip to New York as he awaits his American trial. And even so, let's look at the treatment of some of these detainees. How about we compare it to the treatment of prisoners right here in Los Angeles County? And for the sake of argument, let's start with the maximum security level detainees, the worst of the worst. Even so, these guys get an additional 2 hours of rec time compared to that of California state prisoners, and the cost for their high-quality daily meals is nearly $50. Compare that to the $245 allotted for a Californian prisoner. Not to mention, with each meal, they can pick from 4 different dishes, depending on whether they're vegetarian, toothless, or have a sensitive stomach. Oh, the humanity! Now, of course, the mid-level threat detainees, which account for most of the folks at Gitmo, get even more bells and giant loud whistles. Not only do they have a beautiful ocean view, bountiful rec time, oftentimes video game privileges, access to language courses, laptop classes, and other various life skills training courses, They also get their own top-notch soccer field. Yes, folks, terrorists are entitled to their right to bend it like Beckham. You know, even the prisoners hear these horror stories of Gitmo, show up, see the soccer field, and think, "Goal!" And of course, because our troops do such a fabulous job, unlike in American prisons, inmate-on-inmate violence isn't really much of a problem at Gitmo. Though really, even if it was, it's not like any of these scumbags could really do much damage. It'd be like watching two hobos fighting over a sandwich. Sure, it's kind of sad, but no one's powerful enough to land a finisher.
Welcome, Bob. Well, Bob. What's up? Well, Bob.
Also, these prisoners have access to better health care than, well, than you. If they hurt themselves attacking a United States service member, they get to have an American doctor sew them right back up. As a matter of fact, before political outrage, the detainees were going to get the swine flu vaccine before Americans. You still thinking of this place as nothing more than a torture chamber? You know, maybe we should ship these guys to American prisons, as I personally believe that prison should be as unpleasant as humanly possible. Let them bring their prayer rugs and everything. They're already on their knees 5 times a day. While they're at it, let's let them make a few new friends. Oh, that's right. No American prisons want to take them. Even Nancy Pelosi, the strongest advocate of closing Gitmo, flat out refused to have them sent to her district. As a matter of fact, the Gitmo detainees have it so well that one of the military's biggest problems is keeping Cuban citizens from sneaking in. That's right, folks. These people would rather be prisoners of Gitmo than citizens of Cuba. I mean, these people are probably just tired of living on a government ration of 6 eggs, 6 pounds of rice, and 2 pounds of fish a month. And unlike Michael Moore tried to sell you, the Cubans face long healthcare wait times because there's only 1 physician per 400 Cubans. Now, if all Guantanamo Bay prisons were to have only 1 doctor, Cubans would still have nearly twice as much of a chance of being seen by them. Of course, they also live without internet, nearly all without a telephone or television. These people want to come to America more than anything.
So we are here outside of the lighthouse in, I guess what is considered a raft boneyard with some of the more well-known rafts that have been recovered by Coast Guard here from Cubans who've been wanting to get to the United States. Have to admire the ingenuity. They just throw together anything, and they're going to America. The little guys are determined. I mean, that camera could probably be a life raft. It's pretty incredible. These people really want to get to the United States. I have yet to see the exhibit of rafts built by American citizens trying to get to Cuba for their health care, as Michael Moore kind of insinuated, but I'm sure it's around, so we'll keep looking. Sturdy.
And if they can't make it to Miami, Gitmo is the next best thing. It's like a little slice of America in Cuba. And as Americans, we forget how enticing that is to everybody else in the world, and we take it for granted.
But bro, what about the torture tactics at Gitmo? Geneva Convention, brah.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because I just happen to have a list of heightened interrogation techniques right in front of me. Okay, we've got deception, which is implying that an interrogator is from another country with a reputation for harsh treatment of detainees. See, to me, that's genius. All right, Khalid, see, I tried being nice, but my buddy, see, he's from Croatia, and they have a different set of rules, so good luck. Convincing a detainee that interrogators might have mistaken him for someone else. Rapid-fire questioning, isolation, incentive or removal of incentive, and of course you've got your old good cop, bad cop routines and all the favorite standbys. Our troops are not even allowed to force them to stand for prolonged periods of time, or threaten them, or cover their heads during transportation, or interrogate them for up to 20 hours, force them to do calisthenics, deprive them of sleep, or force them to shave. One of the last big mistreatment of a detainee case was a soldier throwing water on a detainee. Now, it should be noted that he only did so in reaction to having a cocktail thrown at him. Oh, I almost forgot. A cocktail is basically a cup that a detainee will fill with any bodily excretion he can possibly fit into it, which he then throws at the men and women of our military. And our troops can't do a thing. So it's become a bit of a sport for these flamwats. Now, the man who retaliated with a cup of purified drinking water was quickly reprimanded and removed from the island. A similar cocktail was recently thrown in a California courtroom. The perpetrator is now serving 30 years. How's that for a different standard? Our troops are sent to these front lines with very little to work with, and the biggest crime of all is the fact that I'm even able to read this list. Now that this administration has made this list public, our enemies know exactly how far we can go and what kind of crap for which they can get the ACLU to sue. And the sad part is that the troops can't even defend themselves publicly as they've been federally muzzled. Going to Guantanamo Bay was amazing and inspiring because of the incredible job that these troops do, but also heartbreaking because our president has referred to their entire operation as nothing more than a stain on America's standing in the world. Their commander-in-chief condemning Gitmo for his own political gain has by default made them out to be monsters. And of course, the media follows suit, claiming all kinds of atrocities and covering the supposed horror stories to come out of this camp, nearly none of which are true. And of course, our honorable service members can't do a thing. You don't think that hurts morale? The troops will tell you that all the objectors to Guantanamo Bay who'd actually taken the time to visit have flipped 180 degrees on the issue, including congressmen and senators. But much like Iraq before his campaign trail, Barack Obama has never set foot in Guantanamo Bay. See, Obama has to justify his closing of the camp, so he has a vested interest in making it look like a hellhole, and by default, making our troops look like torturous animals. So in light of all this, I ask you, what do you think? Should Guantanamo Bay remain open? And if you supported closing it before, has any of this changed your mind? Be sure to let me know. Personally, this is one of the most incredible experiences of my life, one that I'll never forget. I think Guantanamo Bay is not only a great prison, it's the perfect prison. And our troops are the ideal and only people for the job. To any of our honorable members of the United States military watching this, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I want you to know that there are people back home who love you and truly appreciate everything that you do.